Hello everybody, welcome back to Madden 2002 in the Cowboys franchise, featuring my PlayStation 2's loud hum, which again, I don't know if is getting picked up. Again, according to my audio mixer, it is definitely getting picked up, so if it is, apologies in advance. So we are here now, the same place we were last year in the offseason video. I'm trying to match the exact same format that we did last year, or last season rather, by starting us off in the standings here, taking a look over things, maybe looking at some changes, and of course maybe getting a early look at where we could expect to be drafting this year, because you know we're going to get a high pick because it's such a horrible season that we had, miraculously keeping our jobs. But I think if I went to the coaches screen, our coaching points would be probably in the single digits. I think that's how bad Jerry and all of the Cowboys Nation is sort of looking down on us right now. So, but anyway, without further ado, let's get into the standings. The Rams have back-to-back 12-4 seasons. Good for them. Good for them. The Buccaneers also win the NFC South in its first year. The Lions make it back to the playoffs, second straight year, as they win the NFC North in its first year, no longer being the Central. The Vikings also make it, along with the Packers, and then the Redskins finish one game worse than they did last year, finishing 9-7, just squeaking their way in. I mean, not even squeaking their way in. They actually won our division, since the NFC East was so terrible in its first year. The Redskins actually have a division title, and it's the Packers and Vikings who are your wildcard teams that are probably going to give Washington a run for their money in the playoffs. So the 49ers and Saints once again finishing 8-8 here on the outside, but the Seahawks improve a little bit. I think they were 6-10 last year in the AFC, and they just about make it into the playoffs here in the NFC. And then as we drop down, most of these teams are about the same. I think the Panthers were 5-11 last year, and they just barely improved on themselves. The Eagles, however, had a pretty big collapse. They were at 11-5 last year, and they're down here at 6-10, and they're not even a bad team. They're a pretty good team still, like a really good roster, so I don't know what happened for them. The Falcons are still bad. The Giants finish, I think they were 5-11 last year. Now they're 5-10-1 because they tied with us, and we are here 15th in the NFC, just finishing better, one game better than the lowly Arizona Cardinals, who were 3-13 last year. In the AFC, however, the Ravens take on the best record in the NFL, finishing 14-2, and of course winning the AFC North. The Chiefs improved from last year and are the winners of the AFC West, now without the Seahawks in it. And the Dolphins also, I think they were 8-8 and just missed out on the playoffs last year. They might have been 9-7. I can't remember, but they did improve and won the AFC East. And then the Titans won the AFC North in its first year of existence, with the Raiders and Broncos serving as your two wild cards, with the Jets and the Bills sitting on the outside. The Bills once again sitting on the outside. I think they were 9-7 last year, just barely missed out on the playoffs, because I think the Patriots were the winner of the East at 9-7. I think you had the Jets and the Bills both at like 8-8. And then the Jags, I think, were in the playoffs last year through the AFC Central, but this year they have missed. So that is how the AFC kind of plays out. The Steelers were also in the playoffs last year, and they had a pretty bad, disastrous year. I think the Chargers were there as well. And of course, as we already talked about, the Patriots who had a complete regression. But the Texans in their first year finished 3-13. Not a great year for them. So if you're curious what that means for us in terms of draft positioning, it's not very good. There's a lot of teams in front of us. So the Texans will probably pick first. The Cardinals will pick second. The Pats at third. The Chargers at fourth. Steelers at fifth. And we are outside of the top five with the sixth pick in the draft, of course, assuming no one has made any stupid trades, moving any first-round picks around. Our draft situation is a little bit interesting because of the trade that we made for Chad Pennington. I gained a lot of draft picks during the season, or at the beginning of the season, and then I moved a lot of them away at the deadline for this 5-10 record. So maybe it doesn't make a ton of sense to you that is what we that's what we did. But I figured that if we just kept going with Quincy Carter, then our season would probably just derail itself, and I would have for sure gotten fired going 3-13 or 4-12. But I figured if we could at least get an actual quarterback and win 6 or 7 games, I could at least keep my job. So we didn't do that, but I didn't get fired. So it is what it is. Next, I will sim through the entirety of the playoffs, and then I will cut back in and we'll go over it. Okay, we are back. So, the Dolphins managed to hang on against the Broncos in overtime. That one needs to go into overtime. The Lions defend their home territory. They're still in the Silverdome in this game, in the Pontiac Silverdome, and they managed to defend the Silverdome against their bitter rivals, the Packers, by beating them pretty handedly. the Raiders kind of put a hurting on the Titans, man. This is the difference between a newer team and I guess a veteran team. I don't know. The Titans got a ton of veterans too, so I'm not sure how this one got so out of hand, but things definitely got out of hand in the AFC. And then the Redskins, absolutely defensive masterclass against the Vikings to eliminate them. So in the divisional round, the Ravens had themselves a bit of a scare against this high-powered Raiders offense and just barely beat the Raiders. The Redskins managed to knock off the top-seeded Rams in the NFC on the road. The Chiefs absolutely demolished the Dolphins in Kansas City, and then the Lions' luck runs out in Tampa Bay as the Buccaneers put on a dominant showing at Raymond James. So your AFC and NFC championship games are set. It tells all this time here in the modern day, the Chiefs and Ravens, but the Chiefs managed to just barely beat out the top-seeded Ravens by a field goal, and then the Buccaneers managed to hang on against the Redskins from our division. So our lowly NFC East winner manages to make it all the way to the NFC title game. It's kind of crazy. And then your Super Bowl is between the Chiefs and Buccaneers. It's a rematch of the 2020 COVID Super Bowl, I believe, Tom Brady's Super Bowl win with the Buccaneers. But anyway, the Chiefs managed to win this one. So Chiefs fans, you don't have to wait all the way until Patrick Mahomes to get yourself a Super Bowl, because now in 2003, 2004, that season, you win. You win a Super Bowl. Congratulations. And then the AFC would absolutely handle things in the Pro Bowl. So that is all for this NFL season. Now we're going to look through, of course, stats and whatnot, and just kind of, I guess, break down the team before we get into all of our offseason festivities. So, first things first, Chad Pennington, since getting acquired, I wish we could see his splits, unfortunately, but we cannot. So, because he managed to throw for over 2,000 yards and had 13 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That completion percentage is pretty bad. It's his best of his career, but it is a short career, and he hasn't played much in his career. But in his first year, I guess, as a primary starter, he only started. I don't think he was injured throughout the season with us. I think he did start or play a majority of the games since he was acquired. So this is his stats, probably over an 8 or 10 game sample size. So it's not terrible, I guess, with a limited season, about 2/3 of an NFL season. I don't think this is really that bad. I'm curious to see how it would be over a full season. However, thinking about Chad Pennington moving forward, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do with him. This might be a draft or an offseason in which we're really looking to find an actual quarterback, because I think the rest of the team probably really isn't that terrible to where we could probably make things work with a stopgap quarterback if we had to. Something a little bit better than Chad Pennington, at least. So the Quincy Carter experiment is probably done, though. I don't think we have enough time in this position to kind of keep trying to develop a quarterback, especially one as bad as Quincy Carter is. Statistically, I mean, like, you know, his actual attributes. If Quincy Carter was maybe like a high 60s quarterback, we could probably still try it out. But no, being a 61 overall, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to work. But yeah, that's how the passing situation went for this year. We know it was a disaster, but Emmitt Smith has himself an amazing season. He finally gets back, or returns to form rather, after a down year last year. He did miss some time last year, but this year he was pretty healthy and had himself a very, very solid year, his most since the 1999 season, and his highest touchdown mark since 2000. So, yeah, after a down year, he's back, baby. And at 32, he's going to regress. So we're going to start seeing the worst side of Emmitt Smith moving forward. But he was the primary load bearer in this running game. Michael Wiley, I feel like we saw a lot more in our sims and stuff, but he only ran for 110 yards on the season, so very, very interesting. I feel like we saw a whole lot more from Michael Wiley, but we certainly did not. So, but Emmitt Smith having a great 1,200 plus yard season. I love it. Joey Galloway also has an amazing comeback season here with over 1,100 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Hasn't hit that mark ever. So this is a career year for Joey Galloway, which is good here, but still 7 years into his career, encroaching on 30. Again, I said at the end of the last video in week 16 that we might be analyzing our stars here and seeing who we can afford to keep around and who we cannot afford. So with Joey Galloway and Emmitt Smith beginning to age a little bit, and the numbers being consistent here, but we could expect a little bit of regression, it might be time to be thinking about our options and how we kind of get away from those, especially because of the money that they might demand pretty soon. So Raggy Mishmael has a down year from last year, but it's pretty on par with where he was. The average is a little bit lower. It's about 3 yards lower here, and the yards after contact is a whole lot less than it was last year, but about the same amount of touchdowns and about 100 yards less. So that is how that worked out. And then Jackie Harris, yeah, about the same as well. It's funny, man. We really kind of focused a lot on one specific person. So Chad Pennington's main guy was Joey Galloway, and of course the run game was just Emmitt Smith. And outside of that, not a whole lot happened. So Chad Gonzalez, our rookie receiver, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, okay, you know what I mean? We'll take it. I will certainly take that. And then, yeah, this one, we watched Darren Giovanni's Verini, his 1 touchdown. I'm pretty sure we watched that. we actually did see that. So that's just funny. I just find that funny. Going now to our O-line here, Eric Williams, a solid season, man. Only allows the 1 sack. Good to see. Love to see it. Brian DeMarco, however, has a terrible season. Giving up 9 sacks here. So the Pancakes numbers is pretty similar, but he gives up double the amount of sacks. Not very good. I believed in him. I trusted him. Larry Allen gets himself another Pro Bowl nod after putting up pretty much an identical season as last year. I don't know if the sim is going to give him too different of a season. And then our rookie center has a pretty decent year himself here, only allowing 4 sacks. Not a ton of Pancakes, but the low sack number we will take, I guess. And then Flozo Adams has himself just a year. Have yourself a year. It's kind of the same. Gives up a lot more sacks. So we might need to tighten up a little bit more on the O-line here, the right side. Again, kind of looking to be the weaker link per usual. Well, outside of Eric Williams, of course, but just the guard situation, as we kind of know. So, looking defensively, Darren Woodson, strong safety, leading the team in tackles, man. So pay attention to all these these acquisitions, of course, that I've made. You know what I mean? As we move ahead here. Looking at our TFLs, leaders, Marcus Johnson, the rookie defensive tackle, leads the team in TFLs with 6. And then the sack number, Chidi Ahanatu, another free agent I added, leads the team with 9 sacks, with, of course, our rookie with 6 behind him. So I am not upset about these 2 guys being along the top. Any serious injuries we had this season that I didn't really mention were on the defense, like Dexter Coakley, jeez. Basically missed the entire season with injury, and he was gone. And then Jason Fisk was also injured to end the year. And then, of course, our rookie Jarrett O'Neal, our DB, which you're not seeing anywhere on here, he was injured towards the end of the season. So, but he's not on here really as well. So, and then kicking, John Carney was a little bit better than Doug Bryan was, but still not the best from the kicking situation that I guess you would expect. So, but that is basically how things kind of work out. I guess we could look through the rankings. I hate doing that because of how we sim and stuff like that. It just doesn't really, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't really give an accurate representation of really how the team was doing. So, I guess that's it as far as stats go. We could look at awards, I guess. We'll just look at the big ones if you really want to. As you saw, we already had Larry Allen got himself to another Pro Bowl. I'm pretty sure he was our only Pro Bowler last year as well. So, but Eddie George wins the NFL MVP, which is nuts. I mean, yeah, for those numbers, I can't be too surprised as it's dominated by running backs, funnily enough. So, but of course, he wins Offensive Player of the Year. I guess I can check for conference as well here. Dante Culpepper's Offensive Player of the Year in the NFC. I guess the NFC is more important to us then, isn't it? And then Stephen Boyd is the Defensive Player of the Year in the NFC. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Jeff Simpson, the Buccaneers' new quarterback. So they have a new quarterback situation in Tampa, and he wins Rookie of the Year in the NFC. In the AFC, I guess, Marquise Johnson, the new quarterback for the Bills, even though the Bills didn't improve much from last season, he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in the AFC. And pretty much for the NFL, he's chosen for the NFL. And the Defensive Rookie goes to Brett Browning, the outside linebacker that I'm guessing the Texans probably drafted with their first overall pick. I'm guessing he probably was who they invested in, which was smart for them to, I guess, to go defense. But in the NFC here, Darius Vance, a rookie linebacker for the Rams, put on a pretty nice showing for them, so he's going to win it for them. And then Coach of the Year goes to Martz for the Rams. He's going to take home Coach of the Year. And then in the NFL, it's going to go, of course, obviously, for the Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl, of course. So there is, yeah, and then we'll skip out all the positional guys, of course, because we don't really need to do that. So I guess with that now out of the way, I guess we will move into the offseason, but I will show you the coaching screen just to show you where I'm at. Yeah, I'm at 1 of 100. During the preseason, critical personnel issues must be handled. The owner trusts you to make wise decisions. So I guess we really need to turn things around in year 3 or else we are done, obviously. I mean, just obviously. So we're looking for our first winning season, looking for our first playoff berth, all that stuff. So let's move ahead now into the offseason. Okay, and again, we are going to see if we can structure this a little bit better and cut out a lot of the time. The last offseason episode was almost an hour because I just love to sit here and ramble, so I'm going to try and avoid that. So let's go through the retired players now, and we are just, I guess we'll flip through the first ones here. Rich Gannon's gone. We lose Rich Gannon. Tim Brown is also gone, so this is probably the year in which the Raiders are going to really fall off. Some other people here. Emmitt Smith retired. No. Oh my God. Oh no. Okay, let's just go look here at our team and just see what happens. Oh no. I didn't want to get jump scared like that. Oh, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Yes, we lose Emmitt Smith and Jackie Harris. Oh man. Oh. All right. We can thug it out. We can thug it out. At 33, after 13 seasons, Emmitt Smith is calling it a career. I guess he wanted to go out on top. Maybe he didn't want to continue to go through a rebuild. I can't say I blame him for calling it quits on this team, but that is just huge, man, because now we have zero answer at the running back position, and we have to figure out quarterback this offseason. Our job's got a lot tougher, ladies and germs. And also losing Jackie Harris. Jackie Harris wasn't really like a huge boost for this offense or anything, but he was a solid option for us and was holding down the tight end position. So that is also a pretty important loss. So obviously losing one of our biggest offensive players, all right. So now we are entering the re-sign phase here. I am going to go through and I'm going to jot down everybody, of course, and then I will cut back in after I have finished re-signing those that need to be re-signed. All right, so as it stands, Michael Wiley is currently the only roster running back, so we are definitely going to extend an offer to him and make sure that he's at least on the roster, but I do not plan for him to start. Everyone else here, however, in the re-sign phase are pretty much all depth pieces. These are all backup guys. None of our starters are eligible for new contracts, which is a good thing. That should make this offseason at least a little bit easier on us in terms of reloading in certain positions here. There's a lot of guys that I don't plan on bringing back. Some guys I gave contracts to for depth for last year that are definitely not coming back. So after signing Michael Wiley, I think we're good with where we're at on our re-signing of players. I think we could probably find a kicker as good as John Carney, if not better, in free agency or the draft. So I'm not worried. So we're gonna move on ahead now into the free agent period. All right, so the free agent period has ended. The Texans were quite aggressive getting Willie McGinnis to right end, so they are bolstering that defense, man. They already had that standout rookie linebacker win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and now they're going straight for the line, the defensive line, that is. Blaine Bishop, strong safety, goes to Seattle. These are really the top guys. Free agency really didn't offer quite a lot to us. Not anywhere in the holes that we had. And then players where we could have upgraded certain holes, they were going to cost way too much money. But there were two that I found that I thought were going to help us. Mo Collins, I'm bringing to Dallas. He's going to be an upgrade over DeMarco at right guard here. He's an 84. DeMarco is only a 77, so he's going to be a pretty substantial upgrade on the right side here. Going to bolster up that right side of the O-line, and then we are, of course, grabbing Bryant Westbrook at cornerback because we need someone on the other side of Jared O'Neal. He did not have the best rookie season, so I think we really need someone else on the other side of Jared O'Neal to kind of help lessen the workload. I think if Jared O'Neal was really just only that second option, I think that would be a much, much better avenue for him to develop as a player. As far as quarterback goes, now, the only thing quarterback-wise, Jeff Lewis was the best quarterback on the board at a 73 overall. I thought it might be a safe bet over Pennington to invest in somebody like a Jeff Lewis, and we could at least have the option between Pennington and Lewis between starter if we had to, so bouncing back and forth, because I think Pennington, if we look at the progression, which we might still be able to do, I think he's now a 72 overall, and so between a 72 and 73 overall, I thought, hey, that might be a safer bet, or like maybe signing someone like Shane Matthews, just to have someone between Quincy Carter and Chad Pennington, but I decided to pass just because a lot of these guys, just the money is just not there. It's just not worth it for a lot of these guys. I just don't think there's much of a point. I still think we can probably at least draft someone either between Chad Pennington to be at that second string and develop, or we could draft our new starter in the draft. So that's what I'm going to be looking to do, and now that's where we are heading, is the NFL draft. So wish us luck in the front office. All right, looking over our draft class now, we found our quarterback, Chuck Dunn, a 78 overall. He is automatically going to be our starter. We finally have ourselves a quarterback of the future. We signed him on for a hefty price here, about $3.5 million for the next few seasons. Hopefully he is going to be our guy. So now our quarterback room has been figured out here. As far as the other holes in the roster go, we'll get to it. So the next BPA in the draft was Blaine Green, a defensive tackle. We already have two 77 overall defensive tackles, one of which is a rookie, but I think Blaine Green will really help supplement that, and if we could have two young defensive tackles on the line, man, I think that'll be just, we're slowly building our D-line of the future with those two guys. That's what I was thinking. They dropped a 75 overall kicker to me, so taking a kicker at third, actually I think it was fourth, because we didn't have a third-round pick because of the Pennington trade, but just taking a kicker in the fourth round, I guess, is kind of stupid, but we needed a kicker. We don't have one on the roster, and he's a 75 overall. Carney was a 77, so I think this is fine. Or I think he was 73, right? I don't know. But I think, no, he kicked 73%. He was a 77 overall, so I'm fine with this. And then we needed a running back desperately. We still don't have a starting running back or an option at starting running back. So Bruce Perry is better than Michael Wiley, so he will probably be the starting running back. A fifth-round pick is going to be our starting running back. So that's, I mean, it's a pretty good class as far as drafting for need goes. And then Adam Tyson, we needed another receiver as well. I supplemented that depth with some cheap free agents last year, and now I'm adding another rookie. So we have 270 overalls. I think Gonzalez was a 70 or 69. So we have now another 70 overall receiver to complement Gonzalez on the other side. So, and then we added another middle linebacker because we needed depth there. We needed one on the roster. So the only other big problem that we need to address right now is tight end, because we do not have a tight end. So we'll see if we can figure that out here once we get into reordering of the depth charts. Okay, so as I said, Chuck Dunn is going to be our starting quarterback with Chad Pennington sitting behind him. I'm pretty cool with that, because now if Chuck Dunn gets injured at all during the season, having Chad Pennington come in relief is not the worst thing, and then Quincy Carter is still going to be on the roster. He's going to be the third-string quarterback. Such is life for him. Running back situation, Bruce Perry is going to be our starter, as I said, and then Michael Wiley is going to be backing him up. Michael Wiley a little bit faster here, but Bruce Perry obviously the better running back. At fullback, we still have Robert Thomas. Receiving core, so Joey Galloway and, of course, Reggie Bishmael are still going to be leading the charge at 1 and 2, but Chad Gonzalez, with his 99 speed at 70 overall, is going to be the third option, with Adam Tyson, our newly acquired rookie, going to be the fourth option, and then we have Darren Chiavarini, the free agent from the first offseason, is going to be our fifth option here. At tight end, right now we only have Willie Hester on the roster. I probably will try and see if I can at least get someone in the 60s in free agency when we start the new season. Flozell Adams is going to be our starting left tackle yet again. Larry Allen, of course, at left guard. Jamie Evans, the rookie, no longer a rookie, but he is still going to be with us here at center. Mo Collins, the newly acquired free agent, is going to be our starting right guard. I might see if we can get rid of Ryan DeMarco, because I think we're paying him just, actual money to be our starting right guard, and if we have Mo Collins, and we do not need DeMarco on the roster anymore. Eric Williams is going to be our starting right tackle. So the O-line really kind of formidable. The weakest link, obviously, our center, because he's young, but hopefully in a couple of years that will no longer be an issue. We're going to be starting Chidi Hanatu at left end yet again, even though we have Ebenezer Ukuban as well. as a 76 overall. We're kind of loaded at this one position in terms of mid. But Greg Ellis is going to be our starting right end. And then, of course, so Blaine Green, our newly drafted defensive tackle, is going to be starting with Jason Fisk, a free agent. He is going to be the second on here. And then Marcus Johnson, who I believe, Marcus Johnson was a rookie last season. He is going to be the third option. So between these three, I might put Fisk. We might see if we can move Fisk and then run Johnson and Green at defensive tackle. That might be what we try and do. Darren Hambrick is still our starter on the left side. Dat Nguyen is going to be here in the middle with the rookie Chad Salam behind him. And then Dexter Coakley, who missed pretty much all of last season with an injury, is going to be on the right side. And, of course, we have an unnamed linebacker on the other side who started in relief. And then at cornerback, we have Bryant Westbrook, who's going to be our starter, with Jarrett O'Neal on the other side of him. And then Terrell Buckley is going to be third, with Azale Reese here at 4, Dwayne Goodrich at 5th. So that's going to be the cornerback depth here. And then Sean Wooden is going to be the starting free safety yet again, with Darren Woodson, our tackle leader from last season, at strong safety, a rookie Ted Stuckey at kicker, and then, of course, our rookie from last year, Casey Gordon, at punter. So that is going to be how things play out. Jarrett O'Neal probably still going to be the kick and punt returner, of course, and that is how things are going to work. So we got to get the kick onside. Okay, cool. We got it. Okay, so that's how the roster is going to go, and now we're going to move ahead into our new season. Okay, so after shopping around a bit with DeMarco, he's getting paid about a little over $2 million for this season, and so I was looking around to see who would be willing to give up something for him, and there were a couple teams that were willing to give a third, one of which was the Philadelphia Eagles, and against my better judgment, I will not trade to a division rival. In the past, in the Bengals series, I didn't care about that, but I'm going to try and care about that in this one. But the Chicago Bears were also willing to give us a third-round pick for DeMarco. Everyone else is offering a fourth. DeMarco would be good depth to have that I think is worth more than a fourth-round pick, but I think a third might be good enough to part ways and free up that money on the cap. So we're going to go ahead with this trade here. All right, we might have found ourselves an absolute steal here. So Ukuban, who really isn't going to start for us, he is a cheap left end here. He's a 76 overall, only making a little over $1 million for this season. Ahanatu is making a lot more money at the position, but with the 9 sacks he had last year, I'm a little bit more comfortable paying him that money, even though it's probably the same production. And the Dolphins are willing to give us a second-round pick for Ukuban, so we are definitely going to be taking that. In an absolute other steal here, Jason Fisk. We can move off of Jason Fisk and his money. He's making the most here of our defensive line. He's kind of stunting here. He's kind of blocking some rookie progression. So we are definitely looking to get rid of Fisk. And the Carolina Panthers are willing to give us another second-round pick to take Fisk on. And so I'm heavily investing here in the Panthers because, as we know with the Dolphins will probably very well be in the playoffs again, but the Panthers, I am highly betting that the Panthers miss the postseason again and hopefully have a bad season. This second-round pick might be really, really valuable, and we are definitely going to take this trade. All right, so after our trading spree here, trading off some of the depth here that we no longer really have a place for, we have not only freed up over $5 million on our cap, we have added 2 second-round picks for a total of 3 second-rounders, and we also now have a second, third-round pick. So we have loaded up on draft capital, and I think we've also increased we've also improved on our team. So I think we are in a much, much better spot here heading in to year number 3. The only, last manner of business here is we're going to have to probably go through and sign a couple players just so the game won't be mad at us when we try and sim it through. So I'm going to cut away to that, and then we'll look at the schedule before we get on out of here. All right, lastly, before we get into the schedule here, I ended up signing Reggie Kelly to be our just placeholder tight end for this season, or I think the next 2 seasons. He wanted longer than a 1-year deal. He's young, so I figured why not? And there's a chance that he could do something. He's been about as productive as Jackie Harris was in his first couple seasons in the NFL. but didn't really do much of anything last season, so hopefully he gets himself back onto the field here in a regular, almost everyday role with the Cowboys. So with that now, we're ready to move ahead into our schedule and get into year number 3, folks. So we're going to get things started on the road. We're actually starting with a road trip to Seattle to play the Seahawks, and then we head to New York all the way across country to play the Giants, and then we head down to Houston to play the Texans. So it's our first interstate matchup between the new expansion Texans, so we will obviously be highlighting that game. And then we have our first home game in Irving, Texas against the Eagles in week number 4, and then we take to the road again to play the Skins and Eagles. So 3 straight division games here. Actually, we got 4 division games in 5 weeks, so that's a tough front half of the schedule. Then we take on the Cardinals, who have always been bad in this. We have our second game. This is a long homestand right here with the Cardinals, Giants, Redskins, Niners, all coming to Texas to play us. This Redskins game is on Monday Night Football, and then this Giants game is Sunday Night Football, so interesting. And then we have another Monday night game here on the road in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. We will probably watch that game as well, just for funsies, I guess. Thanksgiving this year is against the Titans at home, and then we take to the road again to play the Rams before coming home to play the Colts. And then we have the Bears on the road, and then we finish the season at home with the Falcons. So hopefully these games here will either not matter because we are in a playoff position, or we'll be playing for playoffs. So that's obviously the goal here. It's really just playoffs or bust. I mean, that's not just my personal goal here, but I think that's probably the organization's thoughts heading into the season is we got to get into the postseason. I honestly think we can, man. I haven't looked at the sheet yet. We'll pull it up together at the same time. Ready? And there it is. Okay, so I guess, I don't know, compared to last season, I don't know, I'm not seeing a lot of stars, so I'm getting scared already, but I genuinely think that the team has gotten better. The offense is rated pretty low, and I'm trying to figure out why. I'm guessing it's probably just the running backs is really holding us back, and our receiving core is not that deep, so maybe that's what it is, but I don't know. We are top-heavy in a lot of positions, but I do think, starting-wise, we're trending in the right direction, so maybe in another year or two, we might have the roster that we really are looking for, but I'm hoping that this roster can at least put together maybe a 9-7 season and at least fight for the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping for, because a 7-9 season I really don't think will cut it. I'm hoping that this roster can at least scrape together maybe like a 9-7 maybe, and just play for the playoffs. I know things aren't looking that great as far as on paper goes, but I do think it is a decent enough team here, and we're really going to try and push for it. I don't think I'm going to sim any games to start the year. We might just start off with the Seahawks game and then go right into the Texans game, and then we'll sim the Giants game, and then we'll watch the other Giants game later on Sunday Night Football. I don't know. There's a lot of high marquee games in this third season, so it'll be tough to see which ones we pick and or choose. I've done a lot of division matchups, so I'm going to try some different opponents this year, even though ironically we've already watched a game with the Seahawks in year number 1, but it is okay. So yeah, but at 9-7 or better is kind of what I'm looking for. Maybe 8-8. We need to have at least a winning or 500 season, man. We cannot have a third straight losing season because 1, we will lose our jobs, and 2, I mean, we just have to be better. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one when we start year number 3.